He went a 361.6 in qualifying, landed him number 7 on a competition single here.
Preston Tanner, how about 3:59.9, 207 miles per hour, and we were all sitting up here kind of worried about it as he sat on the starting line for a long time. It had to have some heat in the motor, and it had to be almost out of fuel, but Preston Tanner makes his best run of the weekend. 9:15, 2:41, 3:59.9. Wow. Well, what a frantic couple of moments for both teams.
So
right
now,
there.
when you come up for your next round, you want some more heat in it? You want a little less fuel? I mean, that just throws a monkey wrench in everything.
Now you start questioning everything that you've done for so many months and years of laps down the racetrack.
That's crazy.
When you pull something like that out. Johnny Camp and John Dock.
What a story between these two. Johnny Camp, left-hand side of the racetrack out of Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. Scott Tidwell Racing helping out, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Tatman Electric, Proline, NGK Spark Plugs, and John Dock on the right-hand side out of Benson, North Carolina for Southern Diamond, TKM, and Nasty Racing. So we talked about it all weekend, Tyler, as Johnny Camp had some issues at another event at Empire Dragway.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, you kind of, you're not going to say you worry about him, but at the same time, as a driver, you have to wonder, man, what was in your head as you come through. But they have done an excellent job getting it back together and keeping that car straight and true. Extreme Pro Stock and Pro 632. Extreme Pro Stock and Pro 632, we need you to the lanes. Extreme Pro Stock, Pro 632, we need you to the lanes.
And with that little bit going on in the camp, doesn't sound right, whatever. John Dock has been to 2 semifinals in a row, so a very tough customer on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Benson, North Carolina for Nasty Racing. But Johnny Camp has one of the best in the business, and Brandon Stroud tuning on that machine. We've often talked about it here in Race Control off mic. That's probably one of the best pro-modified cars, period. It has had a lot of years of very, very successful seasons. And Johnny Camp comes into this weekend as your points leader, chasing a world championship, and it all starts right now. Camp rips the Christmas tree down. 002 for Johnny Camp, and Johnny Camp turns on a win light. 365.1 defeats John Dock's 365.6. And Johnny Camp absolutely took the Christmas tree with him. 002 leaving the starting line. John Dock has won a number of races so far this season on a hole shot. Johnny Camp said, not today, baby. Not going to do it to me. So your points leader marches into round number 2. Oh boy. Man, you know how they mic up like professional football players and you know, other sports as well? I would love for these two to be mic'd up and let them banter back and forth until we have to shut it off when they go into pre-stage though, because after that I know Cox would still be talking.
Both of them would be.
You think so?
Have you ever interviewed both of these two?
I got to interview Melanie yesterday.
Let them get a microphone in front of them. You have to cut the mic off. Years ago at an award ceremony, Brett Kepner cut a microphone off after 2 minutes. You would have to do the same. Limit. So Jay Cox and Melanie Salemi. Melanie, your higher qualified car, number 5 in the field. Jay Cox, number 12. But you never, ever, ever, ever count out anybody that makes the Pro Boost field, including Jay Cox.
So another thing to keep in mind, Melanie Salemi is teammates with Steve King. 2 G-Force built race cars and a Resolution Racing Services camp. King laid down a 361, which is second fastest so far this round. Melanie is known to send that Pontiac Firebird, but Jake Cox has nothing to lose here.
He really doesn't. If you saw him bang on the hood for Marcus, I think Jay might be fired up this morning. So Jay Cox, Melanie Salemi, a turbocharged hot rod left-hand side for Jay Cox, and the screw-blown Pontiac Firebird.
known as Purple Rain, on the right-hand side. This one could get interesting. Melanie Salemi and Jay Cox, both of them known to turn on wind lights. There's only one available right here, round number 1 matchup. They might get a little comfortable. Jay Cox, you hear him build the boost, bumps in second. Melanie Salemi out and gone. Jay makes his best run of the weekend, but it was not enough. Melanie 005 and 364.0 takes down Jay Cox, who was 038, 367.3 at 217 miles per hour. That's a tough combination to beat. Melanie leaves the starting line first, 5 thousandths away from perfect, and goes 364.0. You got to have all your eggs in the right basket if you're going to get around a combination like that.
Next out on the racing service, James Beadling out of Olmsted Falls, Ohio. His 2018 Camaro on the right-hand side for Keeling Equipment Repair, Motorsports Unlimited, and SSI. And Jason Harris, your defending world champion, here on the left-hand side out of Pittsboro, North Carolina. His 69 Camaro they call the Party Time. Southern Diamond, SP Tools. Harris comes in, I believe, number 3 in the point standings.
This is a big one right here for Jason Harris. We've talked about how this team seems to excel on the back half of the year. Harris won this race last season, sits beside a very worthy customer in James Beadling for PJS Racing. Scotty, we talk about it all the time. As long as you are qualified in the field, you can't count anybody out. You know, when it comes to race day, yes, the lane choice is important, but at the same time, you cannot count out anybody that qualified in the field.
There are no ducks.
Not a bit. This is not Ducks Unlimited and not Bass Pro Shops.
Sir.
This is PDRA drag racing, and it is a bunch of sharks. Jason Harris going for another world championship here in the PDRA, and it starts, the second half of the season starts right now for the Party Time Chevrolet.
Here we go. 3 fires in there off. It's a red light start for James Beadling. He is 1,000th of a second. Too quick, but look at the scoreboards. 360 with a 9 for Harris at 208.
910 down low for Harris, 242 to the split, and 360 with a 9, 208 miles per hour. You hear that? It's party time. Jason Harris on to round number 2.
Fun fact, he needed that because he'll face off against Melanie Salemi in round number 2, and he will have lane choice, which Melanie was in the other lane. And like you said, I really don't think lane choice is a big deal. It's more driver comfort than anything. So our next pair, fire to life and start the burnouts. Raymond Matos here on the left-hand side of the racetrack, and Ty Tutterow. Tutterow fresh off a win at our last stop.
And he has looked incredible this weekend. From right off the ramps to all the way through qualifying, that quick fuel Chevrolet has been quick, to say the least. Raymond Matos, kind of the other side of the spectrum. They fought at what looked to be holes dropping out, too much fuel. You can see fuel coming out of the zoomies on the cylinders. But Brandon Stroud has worked his behind off on this car, and it looked a lot better last night towards the end of qualifying. So Ty Tutterow, for sure your odds-on favorite when you look at performance so far through the weekend. But when Brandon Stroud's on the other side of the racetrack, you can never count out any team that he has his hands on. If you're watching at home on FloRacing, see a close-up shot of the Redline oil sticker for Team Redline. Ty Tutterow out of Yadkinville, North Carolina. The Ty Drive Quick Fuel Chevrolet Camaro, owned by Justin Smith. Ty will clear out the WYO Hemi and roll it into the beams as he sits beside Raymond Matos. So Matos going to try to go for the big upset after your past winner on tour. Matos is perfect, but doesn't have enough. Ty Tutterow, 361. Matos sounded like it might have got a burst panel on the top end of the racetrack, 393, but Ty Tutterow continues the low 360, high 350 elapsed times, 361.2, 209 miles per hour for Ty Tutterow.
So a quick check out there on the racing surface to make sure we are good to go. Then we'll be right back underway. Joel Winsley Sr., left-hand side of the racetrack. Wow, and he wings that hot rod in the burnout for mechanical heating and cooling, Liberty's gears and VP Race Fuels. And Kurt Stedding on the right-hand side for P2 Contracting and Time Drive, a teammate to Ty Tutterow.
Scotty, if you're Joel Winsley right now, you kind of have to be a little bit worried of how high that thing went up in the RPMs, but Kurt Stedding, a lot of progress made out of this team from Thursday to now. Kurt, a big 3:59 elapsed time last night in Q3, and he was absolutely fired up on the top end of the racetrack when he got out of that car. So Kurt Stedding, Team P2, looking for a world championship. Kurt comes into this race number 6, but that doesn't mean anything because he is less than 2 rounds out of the points lead. This class is just as close as Pro Nitrous is. The World Championship chase is wide open, and there are a lot of teams that can get there. This is the first race of the back half of the season. There is still a lot of time to get there, but at the same time, you have to be on absolute perfection every time you pull to the starting line.
Well, in typical PDRA fashion, it'll probably come down to the final win night of the night in the World Finals, keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, it really just makes my job great when you have to do points through the race and everybody just continues to turn on win lights at World Finals. But that's what makes this exciting, and that's what separates PDRA from just about any other racing organization out there. It's not decided on paper. It's not decided a couple races early. It usually comes down to the wire for a world championship here in the Redline Oil PDRA Tour. Joel Winsley Sr. and Kurt Stedding coming at you now.
Tree fires in there off. This one should be all Stedding. Winsley out of power. Scoreboard says 363.9 at 209 for Kurt Stedding for the dub.
I won't lie, I kind of panicked for Kurt for just a moment because Winsley had trouble off the starting line and missed the Christmas tree, and I was watching the cars leave and I went, oh no. It looked like Kurt went red, but Joel had a lot of issues over here on this side and just sounded like it didn't come to the 2-step, and it had him just kind of rattled inside the car, and uncharacteristically late for Joel. But Kurt Stedding, 0-16, letting go of the Christmas tree, or letting go of the trans brake button to go by the Christmas tree, and 363.9, a straight and true consistent run right down Broadway.
So Tyler, with 15 cars in category, Randy Weatherford earns himself a bye run here in the opening round. And what a big story it's been for Weatherford this weekend. Has the new Hartz Charger on the car and has run better than we've seen him run in probably a few years.
Randy's a tough customer, and Randy's been around Pro Mod Racing for a lot of years, whether it's the nitrous oxide cars that he used to run in the past or now onto the boosted cars. Randy was the first one that we've seen to test out the new Hartz Charger, and he's found success with it so far in the first outing with it. Put himself #1 qualifier, 357.8. And the WS Construction Pro Line powered Chevrolet Camaro, tuned by the legend, Steve Petty. The left-hand side will get a solo shot into round number 2.
He'll have to run quicker than a 361 with the 9 to earn lane choice for round number 2. He'll face off against Steve King. That's a pretty stout number.
That is. King has had a very consistent car this weekend, but Randy spoke a lot of positive words out of a new Carmack Engineering rear end housing that they installed in this car as well. So they've done a lot of work on this car, not only on the power plant, but also on the chassis side. They new rear end housing for Randy Weatherford out of the Carmack Engineering camp, and he was ranting and raving about it last night on Top End. Let's see if the new Carmack Engineering can propel WS Construction right down the racetrack in a swift fashion to see if he can take lane choice away from Steve King in round number 2. That's a no. So Randy Weatherford aborts mission about 300 foot out in the racetrack and will coast down to a 417. Will lose lane choice with a round 2 matchup with Steve King. Jason Harris and Melanie Salemi will show down in round number 2. Kurt Stedding and Preston Tanner, with Preston Tanner taking lane choice with the stout 3:59.9. It was low elapsed time of round number 1. And Ty Tutterow and Johnny Camp will be your final pair in round number 2 of Pro Boost. Scotty, it's just the most impressive list of pro mod racers in the country. And they do that right here at the PDRA, and they're all chasing a $10,000 check this weekend and a $25,000 World Championship at the end of the season. So Pro Boost, Pro Nitrous, round number 1's in the books. Do not leave anywhere, because the rest of the day is going to be unbelievable in those 2 categories.
Stay tuned in for sure as we move into AD Performance Extreme Pro Stock, presented by Liberty's Gears. Our first pair out on the racing surface. What a matchup. Chris Powers, left-hand side of the racetrack for Sonny's world-class racing engines. Your defending world champion will be up against your current points leader and past world champion, Alan Drinkwater, out of Maitland, Florida, the 08 Ford Mustang.
The end-all, be-all goal of every racer when they show up to the racetrack is turning on all the win lights and chasing a world championship. These 2 drivers are doing just that this season. Chris Powers, left-hand side, made no bones about it last night. He is here for one reason only, and it's to turn on all the win lights and keep that number 1 on the window. The Sonny's world-class racing engines, powered Chevrolet Camaro on the left-hand side, and Alan Drinkwater, like Scotty said, 2 past world champions here in the PDRA, and Alan Drinkwater currently leads the charge by just a little bit over 1 round for Jeremy Huffman. This one's big for Chris Powers. He's 3 rounds back right now, and he needs to turn on a win light. He cannot let the points leader get any more room on him, but Powers, coming off of back-to-back first-round losses, has got to turn the tide if he wants a world championship this season.
And you know, there's no one better on the grounds to do it than Chris Powers. Here on the left-hand side, he's had to come from behind before. Multi-time world champion. Up against Pro Stock Jesus here first round.
Really do sometimes want the chain that Alan Drinkwater had in his winner's interview from the last race. Had a big chain on. He was clean, let me tell you. It's your first pair in Extreme Pro Stock. Chris Powers, Alan Drinkwater. Powers is red. Alan Drinkwater, 408. 177 miles per hour, and then looking at the slip, it looks like Chris Powers' car came back out of the stage beam. All the incrementals show it up here. So a move out of the stage beam, coming back out of the beam, is going to cost Chris Powers the round win, and my goodness, what a hard way to go out as Alan Drinkwater, 408.2, will move on to the final.
This will be Jeremy Huffman and Bill Neary. I don't believe Bill Neary's going to make the call. So Jeremy Huffman, number 2 in the point standings. Your number 1 qualifier here this weekend. Out of Catawba, North Carolina, the 2010 Cobalt 3V Performance, Lake Lookout Campground, and Huffman Enterprises will be on a competition single here in round number 1. Liberty's Gears Pro Street, we need you for your opening round. Liberty's Gears Pro Street, we need you for your opening round of eliminations, please. Jeremy Huffman. Qualifying, 104.04. 03 going by the tree. How about a 407.53 for Jeremy Huffman.
That will get Jeremy Huffman lane choice. The final round of Extreme Pro Stock when they come back. So next time you see them, you'll see a event winner in that category. First pair out in 632, the birthday boy, Carson Hoyle. Left side out of Hickory, North Carolina for ATI Performance Products. Sits beside Jeff Pittman, another North Carolina runner, and his Chevelle.
Carson Hoyle, the ATI Performance Products Camaro out of Hickory, North Carolina. Jeff Pittman, the Hickory Enclosed Trailer Sales Chevelle out of Conover, North Carolina. Greenbrier Excavating helping out Pittman over on the right-hand side. And this is a power purse this weekend. Talbert Manufacturing, $8,000 to the winner, Tyler.
Yeah, that's a big one for this class. And Carson Hoyle celebrating a birthday today, as well as Chris Reaney. So 2 birthdays celebrating over in that camp. If you like birthday cake, go see the Chris Reaney pit, because apparently they may have 2 birthday cakes over there. Carson Hoyle would love nothing more on his birthday to turn on a round number 1 win light, and he's got a tough customer, Jeff Pittman, right-hand side, the Hickory Enclosed Trailer Sales. 68 model Chevelle for Greenbrier Excavating.
And a rookie in the category this season.
Yep, making a step in from top sportsman up to Pro 632 this season. And last night, Jeff Pittman was very happy with the performance that they made in Q3. See if that parlays into a round 1 victory for the North Carolina battle here on the starting line.
Carson Hoyle with the reaction time advantage, top end. He'll turn on the win light on a hole shot, Tyler.
Hole shot gets it done. 002 reaction time 4:19.9 beats the quicker, but losing 4:16.0 out of Jeff Pittman. Carson Hoyle with a birthday win light by 4 thousandths of a second.
Walter Lanigan, Nicole Liberty, our next pair out. Liberty, right-hand side of the racetrack. The Liberty's Gears Firebird had some issues in the last qualifier last night. And Walt Lanigan here on the left-hand side. The CNC Pumping Services. Pontiac GTO out of Savannah, Georgia. Lanigan number 2 in the point standings. Nicole number 6. Jamie Miller down there on the starting line helping out Walt Lanigan and crew as he has all season long. Pretty certain, if I remember correctly, Lanigan does have a win so far this season at our season opener. Tyler, need one more computer screen up here, but look at that. Walt Lanigan's going to be 003 red. Nicole Liberty 009 letting go, 419.1. And we'll get one over on Walter Lanigan as he is 003 red.
Drivers absolutely taking the Christmas tree with them so far this weekend. Right here in 632, you've already seen a 002 and a 009 reaction time turn on win lights, and a big home state win here in round number 1 for Nicole Liberty. The Liberty's Gears Firebird will be back for round number 2.
You don't think that that power purse has motivated them at all, do you? 8,000 to win this weekend. Thank you, Talbert Manufacturing. Joe Valero, left side of the racetrack, the Willies. And Jeff Melnick, most recent winner on tour, and your, well, not #1 qualifier this weekend, but #2 at a 4:15 with a 2 for Greenbrier Excavating, Exotic Fab, PTP, and Mickey Thompson. Liberty's Gears Pro Street, presented by Mintzer Motorsports, we need you. Liberty's Gears Pro Street, presented by Mintzer Motorsports, we need you for your opening round of elimination. Melnick ready to go, waiting on Joe. Here we go. Top end, look at Melnick, 4:15 with a 6. So Melnick will have lane choice over Nicole Liberty in round #2. Check the racing surface real quick to make sure we're good to go. So it looks like the racing surface is clean and ready to go for our final pairing category. Your #1 qualifier here this weekend, Lexi Tanner. She'll be in the green machine on the left side, and Kyle Salmonen on the right-hand side. Kyle picked up the win when we went to Virginia Motorsports Park earlier this season, but has had a rough go of it here this weekend at Michigan.
Yeah, he went to turn the tire over in the water box, and it sounded like it shut off on him. So the troubles seem to continue for Kyle Salmonen this weekend. I'm sure he's going to try to give it one more shot to go. He's trying to refire the Cavalier. Sitting on the right-hand side of the racetrack in the burnout boxes, Lexi Tanner backs up right now. Time is ticking for Kyle Salmonen. See if he can get this thing to start and at least get it in the stage beam. But it is not hitting on all 8, that is for sure.
Man, and how frustrating is that, Tyler? When you have a win on the season and then come out and have an outing like this, I mean, that's disheartening for a team.
For sure, Salmonen has thrown in the towel and not going to make the call, or not going to make it through the burnout box here in round #1. So your #1 qualifier, Lexi Tanner, will have a competition broke single. The Rensselaer, Indiana-based Talbot Manufacturing, Pat Busey powered 2016 model Camaro will have a solo shot into round #2.
Tanner will need to run quicker than a 4:19.9 because she'll face off against Carson Hoyle, and that's what he went. So she wants lane choice. Needs to go quicker than a 4:19.9. One reaction time for Lexi. Goes a 4:16 with the 5 and will earn lane choice in the semis against Karsten Hoyle. Jeff Melnick will face Nicole Liberty, with Melnick having lane choice. So
Our next category out will be Pro Street.
I think we need to spend a little time talking about that.
Pro Street's made some noise this weekend.
Yeah. They've been a little quick.
Everybody has really stepped up their game here this weekend in Pro Street, and the big man Fletcher Cox threw one out there last night. Laid down the first leg of a national record, but the big thing on that is ran it so quick that not any of his runs are anywhere near a backup to try and claim that for bonus points.
So Brian Weddle, rest easy right now, but first round's coming. I think Fletcher might be coming for your national record, but usually, Tyler, you not only win a national record, but you win lead.
That is the hardest part of racing in general and heads-up racing.
Yes.
The parity side of trying to do things and keeping all of the combinations as close and evenly as possible across the board is the hardest job in drag racing.
Yeah.
You also carry the biggest target. But that is the name of the game when it comes to this style of racing. You know, with sportsman bracket racing, you're fighting the traction controls and the slew rate controls that teams can use in certain classes in racing that are legal. In sportsman bracket racing, it's not. So on that side of the world, there's a totally different kind of fight. So it's part of the sport. It's part of the things that make each class unique, are the trials and tribulations of what you have to overcome to not only claim wins at the events, but also world championships at the end of the year.
You talked earlier this weekend about Vinny being out of minutes on his phone. I'm pretty certain your phone probably exploded last night from the amount of traffic it was getting.
Yeah.
So, but as you said, it's part of making the parity and keeping the class equal. Some other guys had some fantastic runs as well.
There were a couple of career best runs last night, and I will say it was the session to be on top end. It was extremely cool to see all these drivers get out fired up. Adrian Herrera made his first 3-second run in the Chevelle. Scott Kincaid picked up 4 or 5 numbers last night. Ron Green.
Ethan Stedding.
Ethan Stedding was absolutely on the chip.
I guarantee it.
We all played pinball as a kid. That kid was the pinball inside of that machine banging around. So
well, he had a rough go of it up until the final qualifier.
He said it in his interview, and somebody told him this in the staging line. He said, "Kid, pick your head up. You wear that number 1 on the window for a reason."
Absolutely.
And that was, you know, that stuck with me, that it stuck with him, that he said that in his interview last night. And, you know, it's tough. You go out and you work hard on these things. You work for an hour in between runs to come out and not find success. It's like, well, there's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
Well, then you come back again and you have that same, you know, we're going to overcome that challenge, and we're going to get it on the next run, and it still doesn't fall your way. It is easy to get dejected in this sport. And Scotty, we talk about it all the time. There are 1,000,001 ways to lose a drag race, and there's about 12 ways to win one.
And I don't care how long you've been in the sport, you'll go years and never have that, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I've never seen anybody lose like that.
We do it all the time. You know, between yourself in your days at Old Dominion Speedway and then through all the times that we've worked together, we've seen a lot of ways to lose. And just about every weekend we'll look at each other and go, well, that's new.
Yeah, it's insane. But what a weekend it's been for Liberty's Gears Pro Street, presented by Mincer Motorsports, and man, I am excited about this first round. I got the opportunity yesterday to do a little bit of walking through the pits and some interviews. I got voluntold. So I got to interview Fletcher, and he said something that has resonated with me. He said, Scotty, I am confident and comfortable in my car. My crew has me that way. And that's hard to beat right there, bud.
And let's be honest, you know, everybody's kind of spoke on the big elapsed time that he ran last night. Fletcher was also 005 on the Christmas tree, and that speaks volumes of what you just spoke on. When you are comfortable in your race car and you are confident in that seat that you're sitting in, you are clearly focused on your one job, and that's to let go of the button when the light comes on. Or if you're Billy Glidden, let your foot off the clutch pedal. Or Bill Devine.
Yes, sir. 2 clutch cars in the category this weekend. How cool is that?
That is cool. Actually,
and just have Billy
so
Glidden
cool
out here in the PDRA competing this weekend in a category. We could talk for days on the history of that family.
Yep. The first time I got to interview Billy last night, and I said it, like I started the interview with it.
Tyler, now it's time for the baby Shark Tank we call Pro Street. Chris Cadotto and Bill Riddle in an all-Michigan matchup here in the first pair.
These two love to talk a little bit of smack on the internet as well, so I can promise you whichever way this one goes, if you're on Facebook and you're friends with both of them, somebody's going to hit post.
Oh, 100%.
After this one, Bill Riddle, Chris Cadotto, your number 8 and 9 matchup. These two cars were the closest comparisons after qualifying last night. Scotty, tell them about where they landed.
Well, you've got Riddle on the right-hand side, a past world champion in the category. Has struggled since then, though. On and off, great performances, but he's qualified in the number 8 spot at a 396 with an 8. And Chris Cadotto over here on the left-hand side, a past event winner here on the PDRA Tour. The Brick 97 Ram pickup truck is your number 9 qualifier coming in at a 399.1.
Cadotto said they were fighting a bad set of tires last night, and Bill Riddle said they've worn out all the holes in the four-link housing, trying to keep that front end on the ground for the Howell, Michigan Chevrolet Camaro. Right now, you better have it all together. It's a big matchup here in round number 1. Cadotto and Riddle, first pair, Pro Street. Cadotto's red.
Wow.
And they both So we're gonna...
Hey, they made it back to their lanes.
I think Bill Riddle might have a steering issue.
Yeah.
Because the front end of that car is kind of all over the place, and I'm not exactly sure.
Man, that is not something that you usually see in the first pair on a freshly prepped racetrack. So we'll have to get a new cone out there for the 330. Watching it back on the Flow replay, and Cadotto instantly went up in tire smoke. He crosses, almost hits Riddle, and then Riddle hits the cone. Wow. So Cadotto made it off the end of the racetrack. Riddle's car still sits down there. He is out of it. You're checking it out, but like you said, Tyler, there might be something going on with the steering or front suspension of that hot rod. Looking at it here again on the Flow replay. He had the front end hiked up and it slammed down, and I'm not sure, Tyler, that when it slammed down, if it didn't break the left front. Yes, and as I'm watching it here on the replay, a lot of camber in that left front, so we'll be just a few moments while we get that machine off the racing surface.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
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 Formulated to win, proven by me.
Unleash the power of performance with the Edelbrock Group. For over 85 years, our legendary brands have been trusted by automotive enthusiasts around the world. From street performance to racing, our innovative solutions, engineering, and testing deliver unmatched power, precision, and reliability. Proudly manufactured in our 7 facilities across the U.S., we stand by the quality of our craftsmanship. The Edelbrock Group, where passion meets performance.
This is what you save your lunch money for.
Welcome to the High Limit Room.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
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 Formulated to win, proven by me.
We drive tech. We drive the industry. Going beyond the limits and advancing forward. A versatile all-in-one solution. We're here for you every step of the way. And that's why you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
So Tyler, looks like we're just about getting things wrapped up down on the top end. Don't forget that after round 2 of the pros today, Amber Denton, Ashley Franklin, Lexi Tanner will be over at the PDRA fan zone, talking about driving these high horsepower machines. And Classic Graphics will be doing a kids t-shirt giveaway as well. And that's after round number 2 of the pros. Still trying to work our way through round number 1 of the pros.
You're right, Scotty. So we'll clarify the last pair because it can lead to a little bit of confusion based off of what happened on the racetrack. But due to Chris Cadato's red light, at that moment, the race was complete, regardless of what happens in the other lane. So both drivers crossed the boundary line, but being that Chris Cadato was 17 thousandths red, the race was complete at that time. So Bill Riddle will move on to round number 2 if he can make the necessary repairs to his Corrigan Racefield's Camaro that's being towed off the racetrack currently.
Yeah, not a good look.
If he is able to make it, he will automatically lose lane choice because of the boundary infraction. So Bill Riddle does advance to round 2 due to the red light start by Chris Cadato, because at that moment, the race was complete.
Okay. So racetrack's clear and engines are coming to life. Exactly where we want to be. Dan Norris and Adrian Herrera. The Chevelle here, left-hand side of Herrera out of Fort Worth, Texas for E-Shoot Systems. And Dan Norris on the right-hand side. Hometown race for him, Brighton, Michigan, he calls home. His 2022 Ford Mustang, fresh off a runner-up finish. And Tyler, I kind of like his odds because at our last event was obviously a little bit warmer than it's been here, but the sun's beating on the racetrack now. Its temperatures are rising, and Dan Norris never left the 4.0 range all throughout eliminations at our last event.
Dan Norris is not one you want to sit beside in eliminations because that car is usually A to B consistent and does so in a hurry.
But to that
the key
point,
word was usually.
Usually we have seen that car get a little violent out there from time to time, but we'll see what he's got tuned up right here.
Yep, Adrian Herrera left side got his first 399 last night in PDRA competition. So now you wonder, how aggressive is this team on the left-hand side of the racetrack? Are they still riding the high from going their first 3-second lap last night? Or do they back it down and try to get down a racetrack that is not the exact same that you had last night under the lights here in Martin, Michigan? So Adrian Herrera, Dan Norris, your next 2 here in Pro Street.
Close on reaction time. Norris veers over to the right side and has to abort mission. The win light's going to go to Adrian Herrera.
Big win light for Herrera. 0.26 up front. Had a 9 thousandths advantage off the starting line, but like Scotty said, Dan Norris was 101 to 60 foot, but that Ford Mustang was drifting over to the right side retaining wall, and he aborted mission right at the 330-foot cone. Adrian Herrera, 4 flat, 186 miles per hour for the E-Shoot Chevrolet Chevelle out of Fort Worth, Texas. So he'll move on to round number 2.
So our next pair already completing their burnouts. Joe Winsley Jr., left-hand side from Dearborn, Michigan. And Scott Kincaid out of Thornhill, Tennessee on the right-hand side, the Camaro.
Scott Kincaid comes into race day as your number 6 qualifier, 395 for the 69 model Chevrolet Camaro on the right-hand side of the racetrack for Lions Custom Motorsports. That team made a very strong start. I couldn't come up with a good word there.
I was
just
looking
went with
at you.
strong.
You look like you might have gotten up on the chip right there.
No, I was not even on the chip. Throttle stop was fully engaged. But yeah, we were on the safety in the grid right there. But Scott Kincaid made his debut into PDRA and turned on nearly every win light for 5 races in a row. And ever since then,
Everybody's kind of caught up to him. But last night, that 395 was a big confidence boost for that young man out of Thornhill, Tennessee, and he sits beside a tough runner, the Pro Charger powered Joel Winsley Jr., as these two will now do battle here in Martin.
Reaction times are identical. Front end hiked up for Kincaid. To the top end they go, and look at that, 397.6. Wow. Scott Kincaid lays one down here in the opening round.
They were nearly exact leaving the starting line. Only 1,000th of a second separated them, and that went to Joel Winsley Jr., but it was not enough. The 4 flat with a 5 elapsed time was very respectable for Winsley Jr. out of Dearborn, Michigan, but Scott Kincaid with a prime time run for that team out of Tennessee, 397.6, will move on.
You know, there's some beautiful race cars in the PDRA, but two of them, the most impressive ones, are side by side here in the opening round. Nick Agostino, the twin turbo small block Camaro, left side of the racetrack, and Bobby Bingham on the right-hand side, the 67 Chevy 2 being tuned by Evan Salemi. Debut race in PDRA Pro Street for Bobby. And man, these are just two absolutely beautiful hot rods. In qualifying, Agostino was able to lay down a 392.1. That was only good enough for the 5th qualifying position. Bobby went a 403.1. With Evan Salemi on the keyboard, John and Jim helping out as well. Keep your eyes for maybe an upset right here. Watching the flow monitor with some close-ups of Bobby Bingham's Chevy 2, and man, is that thing just absolutely gorgeous. Nick Agostino already into the top off, left side. You'll hear him build the boost. And oh, man.
I think Bingham just broke a blower belt right on the 2-step, and Nick Agostino was going to be a handful, 399.8 at 202. But you heard the Chevy 2 go to the 2-step, and all of a sudden it went silent. I am thinking that it possibly broke a blower belt as soon as it got to the 2-step. So a tough way for Bobby Bingham to go out here in his debut race with the Chevy 2 right here in Pro Street. But Nick Agostino, Scotty, you spoke on it earlier. He's been impressive this week.
A 399.8 and 202. Just a moment while we get Bobby Bingham's machine pushed back off the starting line. Tyler, here we go. Jake Blaine, Ethan Stedding going to be our next pair onto the racing surface. Ethan Stedding, that P2 machine on the right side. Defending world champion in the category for P2, tie drive. And never one you want to see in the other lane when you line up. And Jake Blaine here on the left-hand side. The The Blaine Brothers, Bullseye Big Stuff, Merlot Racing, Extreme Powerline Construction. And Tyler, we'll talk a little bit about how Blaine got into the show.
Yeah, Jake Blaine finds his way into eliminations as the number 17 qualified car, and you go, hold on, how did that work? Rob Valden made some contact with the right side retaining wall last night after a run where the car drifted to the center line right at the finish line, and he just lost traction out in the middle. Sent him over into the right side wall, and they had some significant damage to that car, not able to make the call. So Jake Blaine comes in as an alternate and sits beside your reigning world champion.
And I tell you, that really hurt for us up here in the tower to watch, because Rob was making some tremendous runs, great progress.
Yep.
Had that Mustang flying.
Yeah, I talked to Rob this morning. He was beating himself up a little bit, but like I told him, that could have been well worse than what it was, and Rob did a masterful job trying to minimize the damage that came out of that car owned by Charlie Cooper. But now your matchup is on the starting line. Jake Blaine and Ethan Stedding. Can the alternate come in and throw a wrench into the reigning world champ's plans? Blaine made his best lap of the weekend, but he had nothing for Ethan Stedding. The world champ flexing on him, 394 to 195 miles per hour for P2 contracting, and Ethan Stedding, the reigning world champ, moves on to round number 2.
And so far, Tyler, that's low for the round. So excellent lap by the P2 team. Ready to fire next pair. Another awesome matchup pulling through the water box. 3-pedal machine, a Bill Devine on the right side. Devine out of Muskegon, Michigan. The Bullseye Power, Maxima Fuel Tech, Mickey Thompson, and Ram Clutches Ford Mustang. And Ron Green here on the left-hand side. The Green Brothers Racing. Tasoma, not Pro Charged, Woo Charged. I got to get that right before the weekend's out, Tyler. The Woo Charger out of Chesterfield, Virginia.
So at this time, Elite Top Dragster. Elite Top Dragster will take you to the lanes. Larice Motorsports Insurance. Elite Top Dragster will take you to the lanes for pairings. Elite Top Dragster, we need you to the lanes for round number 1 of eliminations. Scotty talked about it. Ron Green with a prime time run last night, 390 with a 1. His best pass with the screw blower. Career best run in 10.5 trims, a 389 with the Pro Charger combination. But that screw blown Hemi and Ron Green's car put him in the number 3 qualified position at 199 miles per hour. Now he sits beside the Bullseye Power clutch car of Bill Devine. They don't call him Wild Bill for nothing. Ron Green, Bill Devine, your next pair. Ron has to pedal and bounce on the front end down the racetrack and hangs on for the win. Ron Green, 436, bouncing the baby down the racetrack. Bill Devine had his hands full as well, and they made that one exciting.
Tyler, you know I'm over here on the chip. I want it so bad. The huck and buck in full effect right there for Ron Green. Man, what a way to get a win light.
If you're watching it back on FloRacing, you'll get a slow motion instant replay. They both had the wheels in the air. They both were pedaling. Ron Green goes past the 330 with the wheels in the air, pedals his way to a win light. And that is what Pro Street Racing is so unpredictable and all about. Round 1 win, Ron Green. Not the most impressive numbers fashion, but pretty impressive driving fashion right there.
Blake Denton and Richard Reagan. Our next pair to do battle, Reagan on the right-hand side, the Ford Mustang out of Rutledge, Tennessee. And Blake Denton driving Lizzie Musey's old machine here on the left-hand side. For Pat Musey Race Engines, Tommy Franklin Racing, and Redline Oil. Blake, your points leader in the category. Pretty sure has 2 #1 qualifiers this season. Double checking here. Yep, 2 wins as well. Sits on top of the point standings right now. Richard Reagan's not one to take lightly.
This is not your normal 2 versus 15 matchup here in Pro Street. Reagan's car is known to get the front wheels in the air and carry them for a long way. He told me on the top end of the racetrack they broke a converter earlier in the week, so he had to find a spare. I think he said he borrowed one from Todd Tutterow, and I don't know if it's exactly what they need, but they might have found something overnight. So Blake Denton's got his hands full with a very tough customer in Richard Reagan. This one could be big for the championship point standings if the win light comes on for Richard Reagan.
Reagan already in the top bulb, ready to do battle, waiting on Blake. He's now in. Watch this pair. Side by side they go to the top end. Win light's gonna shine for Blake Denton, but man, look at Richard Reagan.
I told you that was going to be a matchup that you did not expect out of a 2 versus 15. Blake Denton needed every bit of that 392 as Richard Reagan pulled out his best run of the weekend to go 396. And what a wild turn of events for that team as they put that run up, and that would have put them in the number 8 qualifying position. And if so, eliminations might look completely different for that Ford Mustang out of Tennessee. But Blake Denton needed every bit of it and had the front wheels in the air for his Camaro. So you watch it back on FloRacing, but he needed all of the Pat Musey power on that one to stay in front of Richard Reagan.
So here is our marquee matchup of the opening round. Billy Glidden behind the wheel of that Chevrolet Beretta on the right-hand side. Of course, it's Ford-powered. And Fletcher Cox here on the left-hand side, the Training Day Camaro. Fletcher, your #1 qualifier for the 2nd event in a row.
Over 500 cubic inch difference between the 2 nitrous motors that you see on the starting line. You could literally build 2 of Billy Glidden's engines and still not have as many cubic inches as the big block nitrous motor for Fletcher Cox. This is a 1 versus 16 matchup, and we've talked about it earlier. We'll talk about it again. Billy Glidden does not come to the racetrack unless he thinks he has a chance to win. Fletcher Cox has all of his hands full. And if you've ever met the man's hands are the size of a bear. So I'm telling you, this is not an easy matchup, and Fletcher cannot take the legend Billy Glidden lightly.
No, that's a clutch car over there on the right-hand side. Watch the 60-foot for Glidden. He will get to the 60-foot cone first.
It's your final pair here in Pro Street. Fletcher Cox and Billy Glidden. Glidden second to stage. Glidden rolls through the beams. Fletcher Cox will get a free run down the racetrack. 396, 187 miles per hour for Fletcher. So he will turn on a win light, and that win light will take him forward to face off with Bill Riddle, Ethan Stedding and Nick Agostino, Blake Denton and Adrian Herrera, Ron Green, and Scott Kincaid will be your quarterfinal matchups when Pro Street comes back around here later this afternoon.
In the pit area, we need Elite Top Dragster. Elite Top Dragster, we need you. Elite Top Dragster for your first round of eliminations. We need you to the staging lanes, please. Tyler, round one of the pros now complete. Now it's time to check out Little MagnaFuel Elite Top Sportsman presented by PAR Racing Engines. The fastest door cars on the property with dial-ins. Dwayne Silence on the right-hand side of the racetrack out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. Fulton Power Chevrolet Camaro going to dial in at a 388. And Ronnie Proctor at Hedgeville, West Virginia, here on the left-hand side, the Ford Mustang. He'll be dialed in at a 414. So Dwayne Silence, currently number 2 in the point standings. Looking to make a run, but got a tough customer and a multi-time world champion on the left side of the racetrack in Ronnie Proctor.
Ronnie Proctor and Dwayne Silence, they're out and gone. And the win light goes to Dwayne Silence, 029. Get there 15 thou to be 3 above, 391.7. On the brake pedal, driving by Ronnie Proctor as Dwayne Silence will turn on a win light. Jeff Simons and Mike Alexander Jr. your next two.
Mike Alexander on the right-hand side, Mechanicsville, Virginia. Dials in the Grinch Corvette at a 413. Jeff Simons, his Camaro here left side, backing up. Dials in at a 389. The 413 for the Corvette. Mike Alexander, 389 for Jeff Simons here on the right, or left side of the racetrack. Simons cuts the tree down. To the top end they go. Win light shines for Simons. He is a 390 with the 2 on a 389 and 002 going by the Christmas tree. Mike Alexander Jr., 7 going by the tree. And 1 above.
Dan Hill is having trouble right here in the burnout box. Sounds like it might have a plug wire off or something. It's not happy. The left-hand side, and Brian Tiff for Doc Schween. Over on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the Fulton Power. Kind of staying in his own lane, doing his own thing as Dan Hill's trying to get things operating the way they need to for round one and try to clear out what's going on.
Absolute final call for Elite Top Dragster. Absolute final call. First call for Paragon Pro Juniors. For your first round of eliminations, Paragon Pro Juniors, we need you to the staging lanes for your first round of elimination. So 411 to dial in for Hill, who's having all sorts of issues over here in the Camaro. Brian Tiff right side. And the Schween Machine Corvette with the Fulton horsepower dials in out of 379. All that issue and has a 006 reaction time and turns on a win light. 412 on the 411 for Dan Hill.
Lays down 21 total, and Brian Tiff let go 20. He had to be absolutely dead on the dial in, and he was not. Dan Hill blocked it all out after a wild actions in the burnout, and Dan Hill turns on a win light. Brian Stoltz and your reigning world champ, the Doylestown Destroyer, Glenn Butcher, your next pair.
So Brian Stoltz, the 69 Camaro, left side of the racetrack out of New Lebanon, Ohio, dials in out of 413, and Glenn Butcher out of Doylestown, Ohio, his 69 Camaro for Butcher Demo. Bruzy Trans and Hoosier, Billy Albert Race Engines, dials in at a 376. Great shot there on Flo. If you're watching from home, the big number 1 on the roof of Butcher's car. He wants everybody to know.
Glenn is a very colorful personality. And if you don't know Glenn, man, you need to make a trip over.
Yeah, go down to his pit area and say hi.
Because that is a great team and the defending world champion, as Scotty said. Big number 1 on the roof as Glenn Butcher is kind of on a bid for potential back-to-back world championships. Less than 1 round out of the points lead coming into this weekend. So a big round number 1 victory could go a long ways for your reigning world champ.
Oh, man. This one might be over on the starting line as Butcher's 0-1, and he'll coast through to a win. Brian Stoltz was 0-6 letting go.
Glenn Butcher almost got behind. Had a big reaction time advantage and stepped off the loud pedal and coasted by Brian Stoltz and only gets to the finish line by 0.003 of a second. He almost messed that one up, but the reigning world champ moves on.
He's done this before. He had that covered. Come on. Tim Lawrence next out, left side of the racetrack, the Phantom Chevrolet Camaro dials in out of 390, and Brian LaFlamme out of Gilbert, Arizona, the 67 Mustang for Big Stuff TPM. LaFlamme, your current points leader in the category, just saw Butcher turn on a win light, so he knows he's got to get the job done here, and this is no easy ride for him. Tim Lawrence, a tough competitor here in the top sportsman category. Brian LaFlamme's going to have his hands full. LaFlamme dials in at a 377. 390 for Lawrence here on the left side.
Both out and gone. LaFlamme has to drive it a little bit, but drives it to a win light. 009 reaction time and 3 above the dial. Tim Lawrence, 014 and 3 above. Both drivers missing the dial in just a little bit here on Saturday afternoon, and Brian LaFlamme by 0.010 of a second will turn on a win light. Your next pair is only going to be a single. Bruce Thrift, left-hand side, the Color Me Gone GTO out of Waycross, Georgia, is going to get a competition broke single as your #1 qualifier, Don Klooster, not making the call. Disregard, Mike Savoya not making the call. Don Klooster coming up next. So Bruce Thrift will get a competition broke single as Savoya not making the call. So Bruce Thrift will get a solo shot here at the racetrack. Bruce has had a wild weekend. This car's been trying to drive left with him a lot. Punted a cone in testing. Drives it through some tire shake right there, and Bruce Thrift launches the hood scoop into the grandstands. My goodness, 387, won at 191, scoopless. As I'm not sure if it got air underneath it and aborted mission or if he had a backfire on the top end, but the carbon fiber hood scoop has exited the Elite Top Sportsman entry of Bruce Thrift. A fan gladly brought that one back, said, "Here, Samuel, that guy might need that." So thanks to the fan who brought that back. Thankfully, didn't land on anybody, as she was as high in the sky as we are currently. As we looked out the windows and saw it, we'll watch it back on the instant replay for FloRacing, and just right past the finish line, Scoop said, "See ya."
It left the chat.
I honestly don't think it backfired or anything like that. It honestly just looked like it got air underneath it. So Bruce Thrift and the Waycross, Georgia team will go back to work as they got a little scoop repair and go to do. But hey, we watched it back on the live feed, and whoever's in the camera, attaboy for following it. It just nicely landed back.
Yeah.
Banged off of a tent.
Sat there and watched it come down on the tent, and okay, let me give this back. You'll need that.
Might have a little scratch or two on it, but I can tell you, Bruce Thrift came all the way from Georgia. If there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, he's gonna make it happen. So another competition single for Jeff Melnick. He's supposed to face off against Aaron Glazer. Melnick's going to dial in at a 370 in the Exotic Fab Avenger here on the left side. He is going to turn the wick up, Tyler. 370 dialing. I mean, come on.
Jeff Melnick 417.7, but 002 on the red side. He's been 002 red in both cars that he drives 3 times this weekend.
Wow.
We had that conversation last night on Top End. Wow. Melnick is seeing it very well this weekend, and now is Don Klooster. So Don Klooster with a competition broke single, your #1 qualifier. Going to make a solo shot down the racetrack as Cheyenne Stanley not making the call here for round #1.
In the pit area, final call for Paragon Pro Juniors. Final call for Paragon Pro Juniors for your opening round of eliminations. 16 reaction time goes to 377 on the 373 dial. Now to round out MagnaFuel Elite Top Sportsman presented by Par Racing Engines. And now we're going to move right into Larice Motorsports Insurance Elite Top Dragster presented by Greenbrier Excavating and Paving. Man, what an ultra-fast field of these elite top dragsters. The 16-car bump spot here at US 131 this weekend was a 387 with a 0. And what a cool matchup we have in our opening pair. Casey Ingram, left side of the racetrack, dials in at a 371. Up against Tisha Wilson, a past world champion in the PDRA for the Greenbrier team. Dials in at a 377. Ingram qualified at a 367 to be number 2. Wilson comes in number 10 at a 377, dials honest. 371, the dial in for Casey here left side. Made the long haul from Missouri. Tish is going to be 001 red. 370 with the 9 for Casey Ingram, and he's going to move on. Yeah, he sure did. He was only 07 going by the Christmas tree. Casey's going to move on to round number 2. So number 1 qualifier here this weekend comes up next on the left side of the racetrack. Not just number 1 qualifier this weekend, but number 1 qualifier at every event we have had in this category. Jody Stroud, the Zombie Dragster out of Chesterfield, South Carolina, dials in at a 366. And Danielle Gonzalez on the right-hand side, 379, the dial for that machine. .366 dialing is just insane. Gonzalez going to try to do her part. 379 to dial. Here we go, and it's a red light start. You'll see Jody Stroud again. 367 with a 2. Impressive runs out of the Zombie here this weekend. Checking it out, Jody Stroud, number 2 in the point standing, so trying to make a run. Kyle Harris is your points leader, coming up here on the left side of the racetrack, and that altered. He'll be dialed in at a 374, and Patrick Forrester on the right-hand side. The Sunoco machine dials in at a 384. Oh, Tyler, this is big. If Harris turns on the win light here, he's got Jody Stroud second round. Big time
points matchup.
Yes, sir.
Chasing a world championship, and the only way you want to do it, and you know that you've got it, you take it into your own hands. To do that, you got to get past round number 1. Tough customer for Kyle Harris here in round 1.
Kyle, a defending world champion in the category. In the points lead right now, but as like Tyler said, a tough customer there on the right-hand side, and Pat Forrester. 374 to a 384. Reaction times are virtually identical, and your points leader is out of here in round number 1. Forrester turns on the win light, a 385 on the 384.
Forrester lays down 20 total and gets there by 7 thou. Kyle Harris 13, one above. That'll sometimes get it done, but not today. Patrick Forrester will move on by 7 thousandths of a second.
Final call for Paragon Pro Juniors. Final call for Paragon Pro Juniors for your first round of eliminations. Mike Kopko, the Steel City Rocket, over on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Dials in at a 384, and Bruce Westfall, the Rapid Transit Machine here left-hand side, is going to try to run him down as he's dialed in at a 376. And this one's over at the starting line. Westfall is 001 red. Kopko 02 dead 3 for the dub. Diggy Smith next out on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Mazier, Paragon Pro for Corbin and Smith over on the right side, dials in out of 389. Brian Anderson here on the left-hand side. Your number 8 qualifier dials in at a 378. Anderson left side, 378. Smith on the right, 389. Here we go. Man, Diggy Smith gets it done. 0-1 letting go, 391 on the 389. Anderson was 0-1 letting go, 382 on the 378. 0-2 margin down at the stripe. Mark Romanowski, left-hand side of the racetrack out of Hilton, New York. His 2020 M&M chassis dials in out of 385, and Alan O'Brien, the Greenbrier Excavating, Barry Allen Race Engines Race Tech, dials in at a 375. AMC power plant and quad turbochargers on the O'Brien machine on the right side of the racetrack. You're not going to run down to the parts store to find anything on the O'Brien machine. I can tell you that. AMC power plant and quad turbos.
That is not at O'Reilly's or Napa or Advance or any of the others.
Summit might even struggle with that one. So here we go. Look at Alan O'Brien. 007 letting go, turning on the win light. 382 on the 75.
O'Brien dodged a bullet right there. It went into tire shake, and he had to pedal, put it 7 above the 375 dial in. But Mark Romanowski took 0.55 at the finish line to be under by 24 thousandths. So took a lot of finish line down there for Mark, and Alan O'Brien gets a little bit of a gift here in round number 1.
Al Peebler and Terry Long, our next pair out.
Top Sportsman 32, Top Sportsman 32 will take you to the lanes. Top Sportsman 32 will take you to the lanes for round number 2 pairings. Top Sportsman 32 will take you to the lanes now, round number 2 pairings.
Peebler left side, dials in out of 380, 387 for Long on the right. This one should be Terry Long. Top end it sure is. 388 on the 387. Peebler.
Al Peebler, your winner in the last pair, 12. Get there by 17 thou, and a competition broke single to end out elite top dragster as Jeff Libla will stage it up on the right-hand side. The dragster out of, I do believe, Kentucky, somewhere in that area in the Midwest, dialed in 380. Ashley Johnson, left-hand side, not making the call.
Letting go. 382 on the 380 dial. Magnafuel Top Sportsman 32. Magnafuel Top Sportsman 32. We need you for your next round. First round of eliminations in Paragon Pro Junior Dragsters. Danica Cox and Sophie Cooper are going to be our first pair out on the racing surface. 790 is the index that these kids run on. So Danica Cox out of Bronson, Michigan, left side for Darrell Cox Racing, Blossom Racing Engines. Sophie Cooper made the haul from Charleston, West Virginia. Close on reaction time. Sophie Cooper a little bit better. Top end they go. Sophie Cooper going to turn on the wind light. 791 on the 90 index. Alan Bukowski from East Amherst, New York, on the right side of the racetrack, the 05 half scale, and Victoria Beener make the long haul from LaBelle, Florida. The 2022 Mike Boss chassis. If you're not already, you need to follow Victoria Beener Racing on social media. She not only drives junior dragsters, but micro sprints, all sorts of things, always busy, very active on her social media handles. A little bit behind on reaction time. We'll see if she can make it up on the top side. Gets it done. Turns on the wind light. 791 on the 90 index. 95 for Alan Bukowski, and it's no good. Danica Miles, left side. From Elgin, South Carolina, Ralphie Stellato on the right-hand side out of Boardman, Ohio. Ralphie Stellato, a whole shot win, 007 going by the tree, 794. Danica was 034 and a 793 and no good. An all North Carolina matchup on the starting line here. Colby Helms left side out of Midland, North Carolina, the paint shop machine. And Hunter Roberts on the right-hand side out of Benson, North Carolina. Win light goes to Hunter Roberts. Red light start for Colby Helms. Ashton Hollis, left side of the racetrack out of Williamsville, New York, for FDI Race Star, Hoosier, and Larice. Charlie O'Mara, right-hand side out of Clayton, North Carolina. They're R&R Towing, First Heritage Mortgage, Quality Auto, O'Mara Realty. Mike Boss chassis. Ashton Hollis ready for this one. 007 to the top end. Win light Hollis, 792. Charlie O'Mara was 33 and a 796 on the 90 index, no good. Aiden Tillman next out, left side of the racetrack out of Henrico, Virginia, the 2024 Mike Boss chassis. Mackenzie Hogan on the right-hand side out of Dudley, North Carolina. Tillman's going to be 0-1 red. Mackenzie Hogan moves on to round number 2. 791. Gavin Wood, Kayla Karuna. Tough to draw for Gavin, as Kayla was number 1 qualifier here this weekend. Gavin Wood out of Chesapeake, Virginia, the 2023 half scale. For Purvis Ford, affordable transmissions. Kayla Karuna, right-hand side out of Buffalo, New York, the 2015 Mike Boss. Final call for MagnaFuel Top Sportsman 32 for your next round of eliminations. Final call for MagnaFuel Top Sportsman 32 for your next round of eliminations. Karuna with the better reaction time to the top end. It's a dual breakout. And Kayla Karuna is going to turn on the win light with a 788.7 to Gavin Wood's 788.6. Ian Guthart left side, and Lily Stedding, the P2 machine, on the right-hand side. Win light goes to Ian. Lily runs too quick, 788 on the 90 index. Chase Wanamaker, left side, the 2017 half scale, and Cameron Helms out of Midland, North Carolina, on the right-hand side, the paint shop machine. Jace Wanamaker, your winner, was 04, had the better reaction time, 8:01 on the 90 index. Edelbrock Bracket Bash, presented by Comp Cams, we need you. Edelbrock Bracket Bash, presented by Comp Cams, we need you. Staging lanes 5 and 6, please. Edelbrock Bracket Bash for your first round of eliminations, we need you to staging lanes 5 and 6. Riley Shabani on the right-hand side, and Spencer McGee, Brian's heating and cooling machine, left-hand side of the racetrack. You see his brother and dad, both of them behind the race car, small tire standouts. I believe Connor is leading Super Street points currently. Spencer is 008 red and then goes dead 9. Well, Brian, good job on tuning the car. Unfortunately, your driver had too much Red Bull. Zach Shirky left side, Elena Thompson on the right. Shirky out of Ridgely, Maryland in his half scale. Thompson out of Grand Haven, Michigan. 790 still the index. These drivers trying to hit. To the top end, it's going to be Elena Thompson. Reaction time advantage. It was close at the finish line, though. 004, the margin down at the stripe. Valerie Wright, left side of the racetrack. 2013 half scale out of South Chesterfield, Virginia. Your current points leader in the category. Mackenzie Hogan on the right-hand side. Out of Mechanicsville, Virginia, the 2017 half scale. A little bit better reaction time goes to Mackenzie Alexander on the right-hand side. We'll see what happens at the top end. Win light, Alexander. 798 on the 90 index. 798 as well for Valerie Wright. Carter Jackson, number 2 in the point standings, comes up next on the left-hand side. The Mike Boss chassis out of Powelton, Virginia, will face off against Donald O'Mara on the right-hand side out of Clayton, North Carolina. The 2021 Mike Boss for Seville Masonry, O'Mara Realty, and Birch Brothers Flooring. Demi Cox, Brylan Biondo next down. Biondo on the right side out of Ohio, his half scale. Cox here on the left side out of Bronson, Michigan. Darrell Cox Racing, Blossom Racing Engines. To the top end, this pair goes. Win light's going to shine for Demi Cox. Dead 9. Brylan goes a 93. On the 90 index, had a little bit better reaction time, but it was 004 margin down at the stripe. Crane, Alyssa Tillman face off. Crane has the better reaction time to the top end, the win light. Emma Crane, 791 on the 90 index. And that's a whole shot win because Alyssa Tillman goes dead 5. Alyssa Raven and Flying Ryan Harris, our next pair out. Our last pair out. Alyssa, number 3 in the point standings. Ryan Harris, number 7. Alyssa out of Florence, South Carolina for Hubbard Heating and Cooling, Red Line Oil. Harris on the right-hand side out of Burford, Ontario, Canada. Close on reaction times. Ryan Harris slightly better. Oh, and double breakout. Alyssa Raven turns on the win light. 88 with a 7 is closer to the index of the 790. In about 15 minutes over at the PDRA fan zone, which is located on the front of the concession stand there. The bathrooms over on the left side of the racetrack, spectator side. PDRA fan zone will have Amber Denton, Ashley Franklin, and Lexi Tanner for a meet and greet. Classic Graphics will be doing a kids t-shirt giveaway as well. If you're in the grandstands, you want to meet some of our drivers here in the PDRA, you can stop by the PDRA fan zone, see Alaska, which will point you in the right direction.